right, Latin 2, the final video of level 2 translation. Not my favorite story. You can tell there's not that much interest that I have in it. It doesn't hang together as a cool story. There's too many elements swirling all about for it to be an adapted story. I think there's probably some good Roman historians who wrote about this stuff, but their stuff's all been burned. So you don't really get Romans living at the time or even several hundred years later because it's in the 300s, so there's a lot of change. So this is during the Tetrarchy, and then you see this guy kind of combining all the power. So we're on line 21. And so Constantinus, after the victory at the Mulvanian victory, he brought that part of the Roman Empire under his power, and everything located to the west. And another part which was being ruled by Licinius, he was having in mind to capture in war. For he was thinking that the Roman Empire ought to be ruled by one emperor. So you had this tetrarchy because it was just too big and it was sagging in the middle and all kinds of things. And it works until you realize that you've got 4 people with lots and lots of power, and eventually it's going to end up being just one. Boom. Okay, so after 11 years, he led the greatest army against Licinius. With Licinius having been conquered in many battles, Constantinus was ruling alone as emperor with the whole of the Roman Empire, with the greatest power, holding the greatest power. Constantinus had realized already that Byzantium, not Rome, ought to be the head of the world. In other words, his capital. So he's moving the capital from Rome to Byzantium. Okay, which, by the way, that stays for much longer than Rome. Byzantium ends up being the capital until 1453, when Suleiman finally, I think it's Suleiman, finally takes over and turns Constantinople turns it into Istanbul, and that's 1453 with cannons. It's kind of cool. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, it should be the center of the world. For when merchants were making a journey to the east, they now were often making a journey to the east. Byzantium was more fitting, a more fitting place than Rome for a location of commerce. Therefore, he moved the capital, the seat of power, from Rome to Byzantium, and he built in that place a new city, and a most beautiful most beautiful city, more than which in his name he ordered it to be named Constantinople. A little while before he died, or hardly a little before he died, Constantine himself was made a Christian. And he did. He basically stopped persecuting Christians. That was the thing he did because that was the deal that he made with the Christian God. And then his wife, I think, was a Christian. And he was cool with that. And then he made it the official state religion, which is really weird for Romans because they're used to worshiping all the gods. And then and they were still allowed to, but you had to worship that one as a state god. And then on his deathbed, he's like, yeah, I'm also one. Okay, and then he dies. So that's the story of Constantine. Probably a cooler story if there's a podcast about it you want to find. I recommend the History of Rome podcast. It's really good. It talks about this. And that's the end of the Green Book. That's it. We're done. So go ahead and get all the translations done. Get all the exercises done in the review. do all you can to prepare yourself for taking level 3 next year, and or for taking the boot camp this coming summer. It's been a pleasure. I'm sorry that it wasn't together, but message me, let me know what's what, and I look forward to giving you the feedback that you need in order to do well. All right, I'm gonna hit the button.